Hello and welcome to the Rakuten UK podcast. My name's Callum and today I'm joined again by Mr. Max Wright.
Hi Callum, how's it going?
It's going good, good. How are you?
Good, yeah, very good.
Awesome.
Looking forward to today's podcast.
Yeah, having a lot of fun doing these actually. So I'm hoping all you guys out there are enjoying them and sort of getting useful information from them. Today's one is going to be about shop categories. So we're sort of swiftly moving through the getting started checklist. So like with the last podcast, I'm going to assume that you've had the onboarding call, and so I'm not going to go into detail by outlining, explaining in loads of detail what these are. If you don't recognise any of the terminology, head on over to academy.rakuten.uk.com or just wait for your onboarding call or ask your MSA if you already had your onboarding call. Just ask them about it and they'll be able to help things out. So shop categories, why are they important?
So in terms of shop categories, they are how you actually sort of categorize your store, obviously. So they're specific to each merchant, which is great because it means that you can go in, you can create exactly the browse structure that you want. You can point and funnel customers into the sort of the product ranges that you'd like them to see. They're open and flexible too, so it means that you can create a sort of by genre category tree, as well as having sort of specific events or specific promotional ones too. So you could have something like a summer clearance or a winter sale one, or you could have some sort of campaign going on like a coupon code of 20% off or something, and then you can group all your products together.
I think that's it's really important that you can be really flexible with your shop categories, because obviously we have our Rakuten categories, which on our main site, if you go to rakuten.co.uk, you'll see down the left hand side we've got our standard sort of technology, we've got clothing, we've got groceries, everything like that. And the Rakuten categories are where all merchants, all their products will fall into that. But when it comes to setting up your shop categories, that's just for you, that's unique to your store, and that's what will appear when someone clicks through onto one of your products and goes through into your Rakuten storefront. So yeah, that's essentially a brief overview of what they are. We've got a couple of tips for creating them and getting like the most use out of your shop categories, really, to make them really effective and presented well. So the first thing to do would be probably to mention about the unique identifier, I'd say, because this is what confuses a lot of people.
Yeah.
So when you are creating your shop categories, it's going to ask you for four things mainly, and that's going to be the name of the category, which is the name of the category. It's pretty straightforward. The unique identifier, the image, and the description. Now, the unique identifier, Max, I'm probably going to let you explain this because I am very inconsistent with explaining this. So,
sure thing,
if you will.
So the unique identifier serves a couple of purposes, really. Firstly, it is the URL sort of string for that category. So when someone were to visit your shop, you can then go through, click into categories, and the bit that features in that address bar at the top, that is the unique identifier. So that's one part of it. Now, from an SEO perspective, for those of you concerned about that, so search engine optimization, that's where you need to have sort of concise products, their category identifiers, so that they're indicative of what they are without being too wordy. So the longer the term, usually it although you can get more info in, they're not necessarily beneficial. So it's really important to get it really accurate as to what the shop category is. The other thing is that in your upload process, through either adding products by CSV or through the API, you then quote that unique identifier too. So it's really important that you have your own set structure. You know how each of your categories are named, and then you have a relevant unique identifier for those categories, because they'll help you to add products to the right category, but also it'll help from an SEO perspective to get people into the right areas from other websites, essentially a search engine.
Yeah, brilliant. See, I would have got really confused explaining all that, so I'm glad you're in here with me. So yeah, that's essentially the unique identifier. And then the next two things on the list would be the image and the description. These are both optional to add in, but I would probably recommend, if you do have a nice enough image that sits at the top of your category page, because it's basically going to be a category banner, if you've got a nice enough one, put it in there and get a description in there as well, because that helps for search, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it not only helps search, but it's really helpful for funneling customers through.
Yeah.
So if you take an example of where you might do sort of genre specific categories, so you could be a clothing merchant, you could have men's, you could have women's. Underneath men's, you could have various types of apparel and footwear, etc. Now imagine if you just link through to a men's category and then you, as a customer, were greeted by 6,000 results. If there's no easy way to navigate through to those subcategories, then you get switched off. The customer journey is not great.
Yeah.
So that's where that description block, you can actually put links into those subcategories, and it really helps to direct traffic through to the correct areas, or basically the more sort of separated areas of your shop, so you've got customers finding what they want easily.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, really use the image and description to their full advantage, because at the end of the day it's going to benefit you and it's going to make your store look nicer as well. Obviously, the other thing that you will see on the category creation page is parent category. And when you first go into your categories, you're going to see this as just having the option of top level. And you will see, and you will be explaining this in your onboarding call, but I feel I'll just mention it now. As you create more and more categories, those will then appear in the parent category box. So rather than just having it as a top level category, if you want to create a subcategory, you can then choose which one of your categories you want to mark as the parent. Therefore, you will then create a subcategory for your parent.
Yeah,
it's really simple.
You kind of work from the top down, don't you? So you create the parent categories, and then for each parent category, you can then create those child ones.
Yeah.
So that, and then you link it in, like you say, in that parent category box.
Yeah.
You just say, right, this one is the parent for the one I'm now creating.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which I think a couple of people do get confused, and they will click the category name on the left hand side as though they wanted to go in and edit it rather under the parent box, because the category names appear in so many different places, so it can get a bit confusing. But that's just a tip there for that. Once you do start getting loads of categories, or however many categories you're going to create done, you'll see also a new option within each category editorial page, which is sibling position, and this just basically allows you to move your categories around and place them in the order that you want them to be placed in.
Yeah, I think that's really good for setting up your categories. Another thing that we'll cover in more detail in a future podcast is the reporting section.
Yeah.
But just as a heads up, one of the things you can do with the reports is you can look at a category ranking for your own shop, so you can see which are the most clicked on categories, which ones get the most views. So that too can allow you to then rearrange your categories to say, well, actually, everyone is seeing these, or they're seeing these types of products, they're searching for this sort of stuff in my store. Let's present this category higher up so it's easier for them to find it.
Yeah.
So that's really helpful.
So, I mean, all it may look very basic to begin with, but all the tips that we're given today and all the features that you find within your shop category sort of edit page, they can all be utilised to become really, really useful. I mean, that might sound like that's an obvious thing to say. Everyone has shop categories, you need that customer journey. But if you use them correctly, then you'll see that traffic driving through, and the customer journey is just going to be so much better. And as I say, there's going to be more in-depth guides for this on the Academy. And again, talk to your MSA about your shop categories, and they will help you sort of maybe give you a bit of advice on how to set them up in a really effective way. It could be that you've already got that down and you know exactly what you're going to do. Go ahead and do it. It'll be great.
For those of you who have your own site out there, your own e-commerce platform, or you trade on sites where you can do your own categories, you're probably set. But for those of you who are sitting there thinking, actually, I have no idea where to start, what have you got any tips on that? Maybe we could give them a few tips on that, do you think?
Yeah, well, I think, again, as to say, have a chat with your MSA, because they might have some ideas. Basically, from dealing with other merchants, they'll be able to see sort of patterns in shop categories that will work. Maybe they've picked up some tips themselves, and just go through and have a look at some of the other sites on Rakuten. I'd say go through, see what their structure's like. You'll find some people out there who have loads of categories, which is great, which is fine. It means that everything's broken down into a little bit more detail. There's people who have categories that aren't so broken down, but maybe their product range isn't quite as large, and that's fine as well.
Yeah, I think you sort of alluded to a point there, which is that it's kind of about the number of products inside of your categories.
Yeah.
So where you get to the lowest or most drilled down category, the child categories, you really don't want you want to have more than 10 to 20 and less than sort of 150 to 200.
Yeah.
And the reason why is that we have sort of seen that customers don't tend to go past the first 3, 4, 5 sort of pages of viewing products. So it's really important that, as we've got 20 products per view as the default, if you're hitting about 100, 150 products for that category, you're about right, because you want to make sure that customers don't have to click through lots of pages to find the product they want. You don't want it to be too small, so they keep clicking and they have too many clicks. So it's about refining them. I think a really important thing is to remember is that these aren't set in stone. It's not a case of you create your category tree and you're stuck with it. Because you can delete them, you can change them, you can hide categories, you can add more. As you've said, you can already change the sibling position.
Yeah.
So what it means is that you can be flexible, but really think about adding your products, how they group into categories, how you can then direct traffic from your shop top page through to those categories, and having sort of 100, 200 products in those categories, because that gives customers the best experience we've seen. And we tend to get, like, from sort of some of the results we have here, we seem to get better conversion as a result on those categories. The more products, like we said before, 6,000 products, you're not going to get great conversion, because for a customer who wants, say, a coat and they're looking in a whole men's section, could be that all of their trousers are for the first 10 pages.
Yeah.
So it's without the ability to sort products inside of categories. That's why you need to then use the refining and sort of funnel customers through to make sure they're hitting the right sections.
A key point, as you say, is looking at how many products you have. And then there's also the point that you can, whereas with Rakuten categories, you can assign one product to one Rakuten category. With your shop categories, you can have one product spread out against 15 different shop categories. So you could have, I don't know, for an example, I'm going to go back to your winter coats example that you were speaking about. If you have your winter coats category, and it's all got winter coats in there, but a couple of those coats, maybe they're in a sale or something, maybe they've got 20% off. You've got a category for 20% off. That coat is also going to appear in that category as well as being in the overall parent category that is men's or women's or whichever gender it's for. So you can really have a play with it in that way, and you can really explore different ways of how you want your products to be shown, and what categories you want to have, and have them all combined into one, and make it a really attractive journey for the customer when they're coming through to your storefront. And obviously, in terms of setting up products, that's going to be our next podcast. That's going to be the one that will be coming out next week, and I'll be joined by Kieran, who is the last member of the MSA team who has not yet been on a podcast yet. So we'll get him in, and he's sort of done a lot of looking into how to make products a bit more effective. But more about that in the next podcast. In terms of in this one though, I think it's about done. That's all the tips we have for you today. If you want to know more, as I say, go to the academy. It's academy.rakuten.uk.com. Speak to your MSA, drop them an email, give them a call, arrange to have a proper, maybe a half an hour call to talk through your entire account. We're more than happy to help. But yeah, I think that's it for today. So thank you very much for joining us. I've been Callum. I've been joined by Max. Max, thank you very much for being in again today. And we will speak to you again very soon. So happy trading and take care.